Yeah, copy that, Andre. Let's leave it on for these white fingers on that.
The Le Mans 24-hour race, the sports car race everyone wants to win. So much history, so many emotions over the years since 1923. Motor racing legends have been made here at the Circuit de la Sarthe in France. Audi, Bentley, Jaguar have all won this race. It's part of the 2017 World Endurance Championship. 9 rounds, this being the big 24-hour race with double points available for the Le Mans 24 Hours here in 2017. It's Porsche who come here to Le Mans in 2017 as the reigning champions, having won the past 2 races here. Last year, taking the lead, just 3 minutes of the race remaining when they took that lead, and then the victory from Toyota. Toyota, they fought hard, battled so hard to win the Le Mans 24 Hours, but they have smashed the lap record in qualifying to take this year's pole position with a stunning lap record. Is this the year? Is this the time for Toyota in front of a record crowd? Ford, they are on the bounce as well. They won here last year with the debut of their Ford GT. But here is the trophy that Porsche won last year, coming back down the grid. They took it back to Germany for the 18th time 12 months ago. Will it be a 19th time come the end of this race in just over 24.5 hours time? Just 30 minutes before the start of the 2017 Le Mans 24 Hours. My name is Toby Moody. I've got a 3-time Le Mans winner alongside me and a world sports car champion, Alan McNish. The weather conditions are perfect. The race is on between Toyota and Porsche for the outright victory. It doesn't really get much better than this.
It certainly doesn't. Right now, looking out and at all the fans, the grandstands are completely full, the grid lane's full, and the adrenaline is flowing through everybody's veins, mine included, I've got to be honest with you, Toby. But I think we're set up for an absolutely fantastic but titanic battle all the way through this 24-hour race. Here you can see the circuit, 3 big sectors, round towards Tetra Rouge, which is the first sector. That's a lot of corners. Then the big long straights all the way down the Mulsanne straight to Mulsanne corner, and then back towards Indianapolis and Arnage, and then finally through the famous Porsche curves. And as you can see there, the beautiful Porsche 911 as they put that trophy back onto the stand. Now, if Porsche win this race, they'll have won 3 of these on the bounce. That means they take that trophy back to Weissach, just south of Stuttgart, and keep it there forever.
Well, the race really is on as the big bosses are there to hand that trophy back to neutrality for 24 hours as the 2 Porsche crews look on. Neil Yarny, Andre Lotterer, Nick Tandy, Timo Bernhard, Earl Bamber, Brendan Hartley in the number 1 and the number 2 cars on the grid as we now get closer and closer to the start of this race. The tension is rising minute by minute. 4 classes, of course, in the Le Mans 24 Hours. LMP1, LMP2 with a bumper entry. Gte Pro and Gte Am making a total of 60 cars on the grid for this 85th running of the Le Mans 24-hour race. They're all lined up. They're waiting for the national anthem. In fact, they're waiting for the national flag of France to arrive with the French army that is going to be coming in one of their latest helicopters, ready for that flag to be waved to start this race. What's going through a driver's mind at this point, Alan McNish, with some 25 minutes remaining before go?
Well, every time I was in this position, it was pure and simple concentration. There was a lot of butterflies in my stomach because I just wanted to get it on with it now. You know, you've done all your preparation, you've done all the endurance tests away from this circuit in the quiet of just you and your team in one circuit, and then suddenly you come here and it's building up and the tension's building up, and you can see there the pole position winner, Kamui Kobayashi, who delivered an amazing pole position, quicker than anyone else has ever achieved round this circuit on Thursday night. Now for him, They just want to get on with it because they want to get on with the action, something they've been training for and waiting for a year, especially Toyota after the heartache of losing on the last lap in 2016.
Yes, you and I were together just last year. We could not believe what was happening in front of our eyes, as indeed could most of the motorsport and sporting world as they looked on. Cruel, that is obviously the word that springs to mind, but yes, indeed. Now then, as I said, there are 4 different classes. This is the first of the classes that we're going to focus on. It's the Gte Am Class. This is the number 77 Dempsey Proton Competition Porsche 911. 4-litre flat 6 engine in the back of this car with Christian Reed, Marvin Dinst and Matteo Cairoli. They are starting 4th on the grid in Gte Am as the Army gets ever closer with that Cayman helicopter. Here is the Ferrari Scuderia Corsa 488 GTE, 3.9-litre turbo V8 in the back of that. That has got Bill Sweedler, Cooper McNeil and Townsend Bell at the wheel. They won here last year. Townsend Bell, winner of his class at Daytona, Sebring and Le Mans. They won the IMSA Championship 2 years ago. That is a car to keep an eye on, and they're very happy, are the Americans, with the whole feel and setup with that 488 Ferrari over the 458 that they won the class with here 12 months ago. So they will be starting 3rd on the grid in Gte Am. 2nd on the grid is the number 98 Aston Martin, 4.5-litre V8 in the back of that, 5.5-litre V8 in the front of that, should I say. Freudian slip. Paul Dalla Pedro Lamy and Matthias Lauda driving that Aston Martin nearly to the pole position, but in the end they were just pipped with a few moments to go in qualifying. That pole position in Gte Am was taken by the Labra competition Corvette, the art car. Fernando Reis, Brandella and Philippon at the wheel. Fernando Reis going very quickly in that and indeed returning from Aston Martin into the Corvette for 2017. Gonna have to keep an eye on him. You certainly won't miss the colour scheme. What a resounding rendition of the Marseillaise here at Le Mans, as we've now got 21 minutes remaining before the start of the 2017 Le Mans 24 Hours here at the Circuit de la Sarthe. The French Army about to drop in with the French tricolor. The French Army with this radical Cayman helicopter. They're going to drop out right in front of our commentary position, and they are going to deliver the flag from the helicopter. It's normally based in Valence towards the south of France, and it's great to see them dropping in. Here we go, a live camera on board the helico, and as they come down to terra firma, what a sight to see. Thumbs up from everybody on the floor, and what an entrance that this flag is about to take, as we are about 100 meters up in the sky, kicking up the dust with the wash from underneath those huge rotors. But after a fantastic Marseillaise, the national anthem of France, The French Army just dropping in with this flag. Superb stuff under perfect blue skies. It is absolutely scorching here in France. Temperatures into the early 30 degrees Celsius for most of the week. For practice, for qualifying, for the setup day yesterday. It's going to be a very, very hot weekend for the 180 drivers that are in this race and the near 250,000 fans who are lining this circuit. And what a view from the underside of that helicopter as he makes his way up towards the Dunlop chicane and down towards Tertre Rouge. Fantastic. So, we've seen the first of our 4 classes on the grid here, the Gte Am Class. It's really a class for cars that are a year old in the Gte class. Now we're going to move on in a few moments' time and catch up with the Gte Pro Class. Alan, one of the most hotly contested classes in the entire World Endurance Championship.
It certainly is. You've got some big-name manufacturers in there. Aston Martin, Ferrari, Ford, Corvette and Porsche all fighting it out. And I tell you, they're going to be absolutely fighting this out because that was probably the closest in terms of the time difference between each manufacturer there. And I think you've got 12 cars that could win this particular battle.
Well, 12 cars towards the end of qualifying over a near 4-minute lap were covered by just over a second and a half. I mean, it was just fantastic. Here you have the Ford. This is the Gte Pro Class. Winners here in 66, winners here last year. Yeah, and they've got AJ Foyt, who won in 1967 in the Ford GT, and he's here to cheer them on. I think it's the first time he's been back since 1967. They won it in 66, 67, 68, 69. Can history repeat itself again? And there we've got Jean-Tot Pierre Fillon. Pierre Fillon is the head of the ACO, and there's Chase Carey, the head of Formula One, the chairman and CEO. And then Mark Webber to the right-hand side of him, and he is the Grand Marshal of the 2017 Le Mans 24 Hours. Brand new Porsche 911 RSR for 2017, 4-litre, flat 6 mounted in the back of this, but the engine and gearbox are the other way round from years before. This is a mid-engined, not a rear-engined 911. It's rapid, it sounds wonderful. Can they win the class in a tremendously hotly contested class as the other guys are getting ready in their LMP1 and LMP2 cars? We'll come to them in a few moments' time. The tension continues to build here in France. It is. It's hot out there, as we've said before, as you now see the Corvette. And it's one thing that these cars are actually got air conditioning inside them, but just think the drivers have got the helmet, they've got the overalls, and if you've got air conditioning, a lot of airflow, it means that ultimately you've got less aerodynamic performance. Engineers don't like that, so the drivers are going to have to work in this one. Mark Webber, multiple Formula One Grand Prix winner, winner of the Monaco Grand Prix, and former world sports car champion with Porsche back in 2015. He is our Grand Marshal. Yep, the Corvette, 8 times they have won their class here at Le Mans. The last one here 2 years ago, back in 2015. Here is the number 95 Aston Martin, 3rd on the grids in the Gte Pro Class. This has got Nicky Thiem, Marco Sorensen and Kiwi Richie Stanaway at the wheel of this one. This is the professional drivers only in this class, and very, very quick indeed have been all of those drivers in that Gte Pro Class. They were 3rd on the grid. Next up, we're going to have a quick glimpse of the number 51 Ferrari. 2nd, the AF Corsa Ferrari. That has got Britt James Collado, Italian Alessandro Pierguidi, and Italian Michele Rugolo in that car. Lucas de Grassi from Brazil was due to drive that car, but he's fractured his leg and so was unable. There is a quick glimpse of Thomas Pesquet, the French astronaut who landed back from the International Space Station just 2 weekends ago after spending 6 months in space, sending the crowd a message from his recuperation, his rehabilitation back here on planet Earth. This, though, is the pole position car. This is the number 97 Aston Martin of Darren Turner, Johnny Adam, and Daniel Serra. Pro drive with Aston Martin getting back on top. and making it 2 Aston Martins in the top 3 for GTE Pro.
Yeah, and it's going to be Darren Turner who'll take that start using the experience of Turner, because this is the one time is that with a whole long 24-hour race to go, you do need to start with someone with experience, and it's going to be Turner that takes it there. Pierre Guidi is a new guy to Ferrari, and he's going to be starting alongside him, so expect a battle.
The grid now cleared little by little. Soon it'll just be the one driver sitting in the car and a couple of mechanics around him. Now we're going to get into catching up with the LMP2 cars, of which there are 25 on this 60-car grid. We've got 4 different chassis manufacturers this year, but they're all using the 4.2-litre V8 Gibson engine. As we catch up with the Signatech Alpine, the number 36 car, winners here last year with Lapierre, Menezes and Riquelme. Quick cars they are this year. They've really had the leash unleashed from them, and they are very quick in a straight line, these LMP2 cars in 2017.
Well, they've got another 100 horsepower by regulations over last year, which means they're doing 340 kilometers per hour on the straights, which is about 207, 208 miles per hour. And their overall lap speeds would have put them in outright pole position 10 years ago.
Here is the 12th position car on the grid. This is the Manor, Graves, Hershey and Jev. Jean-Eric Verne, former Formula One man who's really enjoying his time here in the World Endurance Championship. I remind you, this is the 3rd round of a 9-race World Endurance Championship, but there's double points because it is the big one. It is the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Here is the number 13 Rebellion, Piquet Jr. in that car with Hannemann Hansen and Matthias Besch as the trophy goes to the podium. Who is going to take that trophy above their heads in 24 hours' time? Here we have the sister Rebellion in 10th position, the number 31 car. Prost and Senna in the same car. Nico Prost and Bruno Senna with Julian Canal. Winners, all 3 of them, over the disciplines of motorsport that they have done to get here to Le Mans. Julian Canal, particularly here in at Le Mans. Moving on, we go to the all-new team for 2017, the Jackie Chan DC Racing Orica. This has got Ho-Pin Tung, Thomas Laurent, and Ollie Jarvis, the man who finished 2nd last year in the World Endurance Championship. He was with Audi. He won the last race last year outright with Audi in Bahrain, but he is a very quick and experienced man to be in that LMP2 car. He will be starting 9th on the grid. Next up, it is another Manor. It's the number 25 car. This has got Gonzalez, Trummer, and Vitaly Petrov. You've heard of him, former F1 podium man in the past. They will be starting from 8th position in this hugely competitive class as Mark Webber prepares himself to get in the car, the pace car. You know what that feeling's like, Alan?
Yeah, as Grand
Mixed
Marshal.
emotions almost.
Yeah, but as Grand Marshal in 2014, the year after I retired, it was an amazing feeling because you're used to just looking out your small little visor and the people ahead of you and the car ahead of you. But when you're actually in the pace car, you feel the energy and the intensity of the whole grid preparing for the start of the race.
Quick glimpse there of the number 26 G Drive car in 7th position. Here's 6th place. This is the first of the LMP1 cars. This is the Colles car. Ollie Webb, Dominic Kryhammer and Marco Bononomi. Good to see him back here at Le Mans, the Italian who was so unlucky a couple of years ago. Retired out of the race, caught up with someone else's accident when there was a downpour on the back straight. Now we see the first of the potential outright winners of this race. It's the number 9 Toyota. This is Nico Lapierre, Kunimoto, and Jose Maria Lopez, multiple World Touring Car champion, who this is essentially the 3rd Toyota. So 3 Toyotas versus the 2 Porsches. Maybe that's going to give them that advantage, that extra advantage that they need. Lapierre in the car. He'll be starting. He's uber quick. He is going to be doing at least the first stint, maybe the first 2 with that Gazoo Racing Toyota. Chase Carey standing in the middle of the grid, waiting to give these guys their cue to start their engines. Here is the number 2 Porsche, starting from 4th, the second row on the grid. It's got Timo Bernhard, Earl Bamber, and Brendan Hartley at the wheel. Timo Bernhard, he knows how to win here. Earl Bamber, he won here a couple of years ago, but for Hartley, he's still got to crack the Le Mans 24-hour nut. Will this be his year? Porsche number 1, Neil Yarny, Andre Lotterer, and Nick Tandy in this Porsche 919 hybrid, a car. Start your engines, says Chase Carey, as we now get ever closer. Just 10 minutes to go before the start of this year's Le Mans. Second on the grid is the number 8 Toyota, the leaders in the World Championship. They won the first 2 races. Buemi, Davidson, and Nakajima. They won at Silverstone, they won at Spa. But for Toyota, can they win the Le Mans 24 hours? Can they finally do it? Only one other Japanese manufacturer has done it before, and that was Mazda in '91. But the Toyota on pole position is Conway Sarazan and Kobayashi, who set an absolute track record to put his car on pole position here for the 2017 Le Mans 24 hours. La Patrouille de France come over our heads with a spectacular flyby. That pole position that Kobayashi did in qualifying, some 2.1 seconds faster than the previous lap record, the highest average speed ever, Alan McNish, faster than when the Mulsanne Straight had no chicanes. It was 3 miles long and some other corners were quicker. Quite stunning. It was an absolutely stunning lap, as you said. Delivered at exactly the right time. An average of 252 kilometers per hour, 157 miles an hour with top speeds well over 200 miles per hour, 320 kilometers per hour. But I have to say, the thing about it was he had one opportunity, one clear lap, and he delivered it, and delivered it so well. It actually sent a bit of a shockwave, I would have said, around about the whole place, including the Porsche garage, because I'm pretty sure they immediately knew then they could not respond. The conditions were perfect for him. There was a tailwind down the Mulsanne Straight, therefore there was a headwind at the Porsche curves when he needed the maximum amount of downforce. Yeah, but he delivered it. That's the thing about this place, is you don't always get the opportunity of your perfect conditions, but when they do come around, and they come around maybe once every 2 or 3 years, you have to take it. For Kobayashi, he delivered it. Last year it was such bitter disappointment for the Toyota team. Also for Kobayashi, because he spun out when he was fighting for the lead, and so therefore there was maybe a little bit of Kobayashi getting his own back on the circuit of Le Mans. As Chase Carey prepares to wave the flag to start this race, Toby Moody, Alan McNish and Peter Dumbreck up here in the commentary position. Peter, another Le Mans 24-hour expert, Nürburgring 24-hour class winner, multiple champion, Macau F3 winner from over his years in racing. You're not racing here today, Peter, but wow, what an atmosphere we have got here today in France.
Yeah, definitely. You know, the thing is, for me, arriving here, it's like half of me wants to be out there because it's such a big race, and then there's a lot of stress on the drivers. You know, they're, as Alan said, you know, the stomachs in knots. It's starting to release now. As we get going, as the cars start moving, everyone's now thinking it's the race is finally starting. They've been here for a week. The teams have actually been here for 2 weeks from the test before. So it's finally, this 24-hour race is getting started. And as a driver, this is the moment that you're waiting for. Of course, the third driver in the car is still got another, well, depending on how many stints they do, it could be another 4 or 5 hours until they actually get into the car. But for the start driver, finally, they're getting going.
The pressure of the season, arguably, Alan, the pressure of the season about to be released.
It's not arguably, it's fact. You know, this is the pinnacle of the sports car season. It's like Monaco Grand Prix in Formula One, or the Indianapolis 500 in the IndyCar Championship out in the States. It's one of the top 3, the Triple Crown, and there's only one driver ever been able to achieve all of those 3 victories, being Damon Hill's father, Graham Hill, in the 60s. And right now, you're in a position where you've got your whole year, your whole season depends on the next 24 hours. You don't know how you're going to end up. You know that it's going to be tough. You know that things are going to come out of that you just don't expect you're going to have to recover. But that is part of the myth and the mystique of Le Mans.
They're hitting, as you say, 210, 211 miles an hour, nearly 4 times a lap here around this 8.5 mile, 13.6 kilometre long circuit. It's utilising some of the public roads that you can see here. Here is the second chicane on the Mulsanne Straight. This is a quick motor race.
It is, but that's one of the things about it. It is partly and mostly on public roads, so you get the traffic that's been driving up and down them all year, and it's only suddenly when the practice session is on, qualifying, and then the race, that it becomes an actual racing circuit. So the trucks are usually up and down here. That means that the road is a little bit bumpy. It means it's not in ideal conditions. It means that when it rains, you get little rivers and floods. Not going to be today or tomorrow, that's for sure, but it has got its own little character. The circuit is a living creature.
They are coming down the Mulsanne Straight towards the Mulsanne corner, about the furthest point away from the pits and paddock area, where there is not a seat left in the house that is empty. People coming from not only all over Europe, met some fans who'd come from New Zealand this morning, which is about as far away from Le Mans as you could possibly get. There you have them on the banks on the side of the Mulsanne corner. The G-Drive guys, they know how to win a World Endurance Championship in LMP2. They did that a couple of years ago. The Gte Sport guys, they know how to win Le Mans. They've done that with the mighty 38 chassis that was so loyal and successful to them over the years. As we ride on board with the Signatech Alpine, the number 36 car, Dumas, Menezes and Matt Rao, the car that essentially won the class here 12 months ago.
This is at the point when you're starting to try to build up the tyre pressures and keep the temperatures into them in the hybrid class. In the LMP1, you're making sure that your hybrid system and the battery is fully charged, so that when the flag is lifted in a couple of minutes' time, then you've got all of your over 1,000 horsepower to accelerate up towards the start and finish straight.
Normal petrol engine in the Toyota, likewise the Porsche. The Porsche has a 2-litre V4 turbocharged petrol engine pushing out just over 400 horsepower, but the electric motors, the electric part of the Porsche, giving another 500 horsepower. It's 4-wheel drive, as is the Toyota, that has a V6 turbocharged engine. That has some 1,000 horsepower. You racing drivers, you get used to power, but when you drive these things, you have a smile on your face.
They just take off out the corner like you wouldn't believe. They're probably one of the quickest things on the planet in terms of acceleration. And right now, they're like caged animals in a respect, because they're not designed to go this speed. They're not designed to do warming up laps. They're designed to race. And so, yeah, they're preparing them and keeping them. And drivers, the same situation. You know, when you come round and you see the flag lifting up and the race is on, that's your natural environment.
Through Indianapolis on the right-hand side of your screen, then through the 90-degree right-hander at Arnage, then another flat-out drag up towards the mighty Porsche curves. The car stuck to the ground with the sheer amount of downforce. There's 6-time Le Mans winner Jackie Ickx, who's here. There's Anthony Davidson with the big Toyota bigwigs alongside him. The pressure is on. Are they the favourite, Alan? Is there a favourite? There can't be a favourite. It's Le Mans.
It is Le Mans, but I think certainly there'll probably be a crowd favourite after what happened last year. I don't think there was a dry eye in the whole place to the bitter disappointment they had. They delivered with their pole position. They've got the speed, they've got the car, but they've got 24 hours ahead of them.
But they've got 3 cars compared with Porsche's 2. So what can Mike Conway do in the number 7 car? He starting the pole car. I remind you, an absolute track record set by Kobayashi, a 3 minutes 14.7. The track record during the race is a 3:17.4. That was set 2 years ago by Andre Lotterer. We certainly expect that to tumble in this race.
I think you can sense anticipation in that Toyota garage. You know, these were the guys that were crying in pain last year as Toyoda-san himself there supporting his team. He's the guy that after the 2016 disappointment said, we are coming back, total commitment. 3 cars as part of that. They've historically only ran with 2. No mistakes this time. They want to take the trophy home to Japan for the first time ever. I drove for them in 1999. I know how much it means to try and win this race.
Start assuming grid formation. I need the leaders of P1, P2 and GTs to start assuming grid formation. Thank you, gentlemen.
So now preparing. Coming down 2 by 2, line astern. The lead car will pull off just as they come through the final Ford chicane. You can see they're doing about 20 kilometers per hour now, Toby.
Down to that final chicane. Look at the heat haze. What a classic Le Mans shot as we prepare 60 cars for the 85th running of the Le Mans 24 hours. The Grand Prix d'Endurance about to get underway, arguably the most famous motor race in the world. Mark Webber, former world sports car champion, pulls off in the pace car. 2 Toyotas on the front row, 2 Porsches on the second row. They're held under starters' orders, and it's green, and we are go for 2017. The Toyotas streak ahead off the start. It is a Toyota 1 and 2. Mike Conway in the number 7 car leads as they go up to the Dunlop chicane for the very first time. The Porsche number 1 of Neil Yarny tries to look and see if he can get through. The 3rd Toyota hasn't had a great start as the LMP2 cars stream through. Already the leading Toyota of Mike Conway has half a dozen car lengths.
Yeah, he's disappeared. Neil Yarny's jumped into 2nd place ahead of Sebastian Buemi in the 2nd Toyota, but you're right, it's Lapierre that's dropped behind Ollie Webb in the 3rd one. Also car number 49 dropped straight into the pits. And in fact, that Collis car that was in 5th position is going slowly. The front looks as if it's dropped down. The nose has dropped down, and he's just pulling to the side. And the rest of the LMP2s are streaming past him. And that could be a puncture on the left front as well.
It is. That's Ollie Webb in the grey and yellow flashed liveried Colles car. The LMP2 cars, look at them battling, look at them battling. Ollie Jarvis leads into the 1st chicane. There is the Colles car. It's in trouble. The nose has been knocked. There's your leader, Conway, up the gears, building to a speed of over 210 miles an hour as he goes down the middle part of the Mulsanne Straight. He's gone through the 1st chicane, now towards the left chicane, which is the Michelin Chicane. We're on board with the Signatech Alpine, that's number 36, as he is trying to go around the outside in the middle of the pack of one of the SMP racing cars, mid-pack. A lot of work to do there for the number 36.
Yeah, Jarvis jumped into the lead in that respect in LMP2, which is a very strong one because they think in long runs through the course of this race, they're looking very good. To be in the lead at this point is where they need to be.
Mike Conway into the Mulsanne corner. There's his lead. Green flag being shown. Nothing in front of him. He's got a great clear run. Neil Yarny, the Swiss driver with the number 1 Porsche right behind him. Look at that. Look at the technology in those 5 cars. Look at the speed as we barrel it down to Indianapolis. It ain't going to get any better at Le Mans like this.
Oh, we're going to have a few more hours of this one though, Toby, as they're coming down flat out. And Conway's sort of checked out a little bit at the moment. I don't think that's a particular drama because Porsche were actually working their tyres a little bit differently. They were taking a little bit more cautiously on the outlap. So I think this is just a case of settling down on lap 1 right now.
The look back from the 2nd place Porsche of Neil Yarny. The camera on the shark fin on the rear of that car, looking back at number 8 Buemi, and then Timo Bernhard in the number 2 Porsche. He's in 4th position at the moment. Into the Porsche curbs for the first time competitively in 2017.
Yeah, very quick coming through here. As you'll also, the circuits changed. They did a warm-up this morning, so now they'll be trying to find out where the grip is. But obviously, with enough confidence, the fact they were absolutely flat out through the double left-handers, that's at 270 kilometers per hour. And then now coming through the Porsche garage, you can see there Brendan Hartley and Nick Tandy just having a little chat about it. But right now, Conway's sort of taking a little bit of a break. Yanni's still able to hold quite easily onto his 2nd place with Buemi.
The first lap completed by Toyota. The winners last year did 384 laps around this 8.5-mile circuit here in France. There is the leading GTE Pro Ferrari. That's Alessandro Guidi ahead of Darren Turner and Nicky Team in their Aston Martins respectively. The leading Ford at the moment is in 4th place in class. The number 69, Richard Wetchbrook at the wheel. In GTE Am, it's Fernando Reis in the Art car, leading Pedro Lamy and Cairoli in the Dempsey Porsche.
Yeah, we did talk about Ferrari, Pierre Guidi, a young guy, young charger, definitely charged to the front. Darren Turner, an older hand in the Aston Martin, sitting there in second, as the Ford is pretty close up and is actually up into 3rd place. Westbrook is now overtaken. No, he hasn't, sorry. No. It's actually still in 4th with Nicky Team in 3rd. And so right now it's sort of settled down there, but there's a stream of cars just running through in front of us, our commentary box here.
Well, the leading Toyota and Porsche may well have streaked away into the distance, but do not underestimate the speed of these GTE cars in both of the classes. Whether or not you've got a 2017 car or a 2016 car in the Am class, these are still very, very quick racing cars.
Oh, they are, and there's now the Collis car just in front of us. Sorry to not cover your screen, but he's actually just coming into the pits, and that was the car we saw in lap 1 that took 4th position, but then had a problem with the front splitter of the car, and it's now coming down. You see the right-hand edge bouncing up and down, and that was a disappointment for them, but ultimately they've had a bit of a difficult sort of weekend.
Yeah, they've got the 3-litre Nissan V6 mounted in the back of that used to be in the Nissan LMP1 car, but they had an engine change, as you say, here overnight. Oh, some bodywork. Is that loose?
Yes, it is. Actually, it's a bit of damage on the 9.
That's a hit.
And that looks like it could have, well, 9. That's the car that was very close with the 4 of the Collis. So it looks like the Toyota of Lapierre, and also, as you can see, Toyota-san himself, the Toyota of Lapierre and the Collis car maybe had a bit of a collision there.
Ah, so now the story unravels, doesn't it? There you have your GTE Pro battle. Here is the Colles into the pits. Old nose off, new nose going on. The mounting points shouldn't have been damaged, and they'll get that thing sorted, and then it'll be on its way.
It's not a quick nose change, this. Not sure if there's a little bit of extra damage as well. And Nicky Team has overtaken, so now we're looking at the the GTE battle. Nicky Team has jumped Darren Turner, so Darren Turner, the pole position man, is now dropped down to 3rd place. Still the Ferrari of Pierre Guidi that is leading in that category. Up the front, though, you've got Conway, who's now 2.5 seconds away from the Porsche of Neil Yanni, and then Buemi in the sister Toyota is another further second behind, and then Timo Bernard in the 4th car there. With Lapierre a little bit further back, Lapierre with some damage on the front, and Louise in the pit lane is telling us that the Toyota are getting prepared for a potential stop.
And the other thing about that Toyota that was damaged is, I think there was a light out, Alan, and if you don't have all of your lights illuminated, then you have to come in. Let's see what happens. Maybe it was just the angle of the camera.
I think it was actually below the light when it had the hit. It was on the bodywork, and it was on the right-hand side, and so I'd say it was below the light there. In this respect, it's daylight. It's not as if they're actually going to need the lights too much, as
but it's the rules.
Applicable at night. Yeah. And so there. But Mike Conway has just put in a 3:18.932, the fastest lap of the race so far, just to stretch his lead to 2.5 seconds.
Anthony Davidson looks on. He will be getting into the number 8 car soon. He is currently in 3rd position with Sebastian Buemi in that place. Here is LMP2. Ollie Jarvis leads LMP2 ahead of Bruno Senna, ahead of Vitaly Petrov and PK Jr. What a lineup. Then John-Eric Verne, then Emmanuel Collard. Wow, what depth of field they have got in LMP2. The organisers of this race, the organisers of the World Endurance Championship, have certainly got the LMP2 rules absolutely spot on, as we ride in 3rd position with Sebastian Buemi, getting ever closer to Neil Jani, who is the leading Porsche at present, in 2nd position, because Conway is 2.5 seconds up the road in the number 7 Toyota. 3 Toyotas, 2 Porsches.
Yeah, he's in the slipstream now as he starts to come up over the hill towards the Mulsanne corner, sort of looking. He's not really going to have an attack into here. And what he's going to try and do is boost the hybrid energy coming out, and he's got a nice clean run out of it. But you can see the Porsche's actually very, very quick off the corner. And now they've got the long run down to Indianapolis, which to overtake into Indianapolis, you need the help and assistance of the car ahead, because he can sit in the middle of the road, and you don't actually have very much of the road to be able to do anything with it.
On boards with Buemi once more, into the right-hander at Indianapolis, through the left, bit of banking helping you through there, before then into the slowest corner of this racetrack, Arnage.
It does look to me that Buemi does have the legs on the number one, but he, it seems, if you remember back to the first corner, he got a bit squirrely through the corner itself. The rear end got loose, and that's when Yanni was able to jump him. So maybe just didn't get his tyres up to temperature quick enough, and Yanni was able to jump ahead, and he's able to stay there. So it's interesting, the speed of these two cars on the straights themselves are very similar.
Well, the interesting thing for me is if I looked at the qualifying, Peter, that it was actually when it was hotter, the Porsche looked a little bit more competitive. So the Toyota's able to stretch its advantage at the moment, and they're definitely in very good shape, but very early days in that respect. I think when we get into the second stint of the race, that's when we're going to see how the temperature and the tyre degradations are affecting the different performances.
Yeah, that's right, I think so. And when we do have these cars coming in for the first time, it's the first time that they're going to stop for their after their first stint, and they'll be stationary for a little while. The cars themselves get very hot in that time, and we'll get the first sort of signs of whether there'll be any issues throughout the grid, really, of heat as they get the heat soak coming into the pits.
Certainly are, as we're on board there in the LMP2 battle for sixth place with the Jackie Chan DC racing car. And as it comes down in towards, jumping in towards the Ford chicane, bouncing right in front of our commentary box as we see them flick left, right over the curbs, accelerate out over the start and finish straight.
Back though with Gte Pro, look at it, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, it's as quick as that. Gte Am now taken the lead ahead of the Ferrari of Pierre Guidi, and also the Aston of Darren Turner. That's the Bratislava car, 49, the Ligier. That's had a spin at the first chicane down the back straight on the way out. So now the LMP1 cars are lapping other cars. So that's first, second, third, Aston, Ferrari, Ford in Gte Pro. That's the leading Ford. It's the number 69 car, and it's got Brit Richard Westbrook at the wheel. He'll be sharing with Ryan Briscoe and Scott Dixon.
Yeah, you said about traffic in the LMP1 cars. That's the opportunity for Sebastian Buemi maybe to get a bit of a run on second place Porsche of Neil Yanni. You use the traffic to your advantage and try and compromise the guy that you're racing wheel to wheel for position with. But right now, those two Aston Martins, even though they never got the jump at the beginning, seem to have got their legs now that they're into their stride. Only done 12 minutes, but they've got themselves back up into first and second.
Of course, Aston Martin are the only manufacturer in Gte Pro that are running Dunlop tyres. The rest are on Michelin, and I think the feeling is that perhaps in the heat of the day, in the hot temperatures, the Dunlop tyre might just be a little bit stronger than the Michelin.
It's also that point of how much you want to stress them right at the beginning. Talking about stress, then Sebastian Buemi's been a bit of stress on Neil Yanni as they're now running down in towards Indianapolis. Very, very quick right-hander. Use it to recuperate hybrid energy. Lift off, let the car roll through. It takes the kinetic energy from the front axle, stores it in a battery, and then now as they come out of the slowest corner, Arnage, then they deliver that harnessed energy into extra acceleration through the front wheels.
Now down towards the Porsche curves. The helicopter cannot keep up. Cannot keep up with these cars. 210 plus miles an hour. And then, wow, what a sight to see these cars through these corners, similar to Maggots Beckett's at Silverstone.
I stood on the right-hand side of that shot for the first part of qualifying, just as Kobayashi was about to deliver his pole position lap. I tell you what, it takes your breath away. The energy, the intensity, the vibration, everything as they thunder past you is absolutely sensational.
Hard on the brakes, though, into the Ford chicane as they are coming up to complete their fourth lap. This, is the ever tight GTE Pro battle. Still, it is Nicky Team leading from Darren Turner, Aston 1-2, Ferrari in third, Ford then in fourth, and we have the Corvette Garcia in fifth place.
You know, all this talk of the BOP, balance of performance with these cars, of course, we know that they're all, ACO are trying to balance these cars out for the whole championship, and look at them all line astern. So it kind of the first indications are that they've got it right. You know, it seems that it's anyone's game at the moment.
The people who are missing from what I said in that top five are Porsche at the moment. Kevin Estre is the leading Porsche in GTE Pro at the moment in the number 92 Porsche. It's got the white sun band and the predominantly white roof that you can see in the distance there through the heat haze as they come out of Mulsanne, as we ride on board with the leader of GTE Pro, the Dane Nicky Team. Back though with the Fords. This has got Richard Westbrook. Very different engine note, of course, with that turbocharged V6 with the Ford compared with the big banger 5.5 litre V8 with the Aston Martins that are pulling away, relatively speaking.
Yeah, they are. That's the one thing, is all of this category, they've got very different engine concepts, and you hear it as well as sort of the sound and the acoustics of it. They're very, very identifiable. Even just at shutting your eyes, you know which car's coming past. Porsche, in my opinion, it sounds the best.
Best sounding car here, full stop, in my opinion. Mr. Dumbreck, sir, your opinion?
I tend to agree with that, yes. Yes, they do sound very good, but they're not leading the race right now. Aston Martin are.
And if you're a driver, you don't care what they sound like, do you? LMP2 is led by Ollie Jarvis at the moment with the DC Racing Jackie Chan car. This is the battle, though, for sixth position.
As we're back to the battle at the front, and you can see Conway just stretching his lead only by 1/10 of a second per lap at this moment in time over Yanni and Buemi. And Buemi stuck behind. Buemi can't actually do very much about Neil Yanni. He's quicker, but he's not quick enough, so he's going to have to wait until they get to the back of the GTE Am battle, and then maybe try and use traffic to help himself through.
Here's the continuation of that battle with the number 35, Panciatici. The Alpine, he's gone up to sixth position as we speak. So he's in the blue Alpine. We come back on board with the number 37. This is Thomas Gomendy, first year racing in the full Le Mans 24 hours after he won the Michelin Road to Le Mans race here 12 months ago. Trying to go 2 wide, trying to go 3 wide. It's going to be a bit tight as they go into Mulsanne there.
Yeah, it is, and Collard's dropped back a couple of places, and now he's dropped back 3 places as well, as he's gone a little bit wide at Mulsanne, and that's left Rusinov to come past in the G-Drive car. So there's been all change in the position they're fighting for 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th in LMP2.
Emmanuel Collard, over 20 races that he's done here at Le Mans. He's in the number
22 races here.
22.
He's even with Jan Lammers, so they're the 2 most experienced drivers here. I guess Collard was going to do the race. Lammers thought, oh, no, we're not having that. You're not moving ahead of me in the rankings. So they're both going to be 23 today.
For the Le Mans starts. Collard, he's driving with the father-son combination, Francois Perrodo and Mathieu Vaxivier, whilst Jan Lammers is with Van Aert and Rubens Barrichello in the yellow Dutch-entered Jumbo-sponsored Dallara. You will not miss it. Just a little bit further back it is. Meanwhile, that's Tracy Crone, the Ferrari, coming in. The DH Racing 488 GTE, that's just come in the pits. I don't know what the problem was there with the Am. That was Johnson at the wheel.
It's very early because normally we'd expect the first pit stops for the LMP1s to be between lap 11 and lap 13. And then in the LMP2s, it'll be a little bit earlier than that. They'll be laps 7 to 8, I would say. And then the GT cars to be similar to an LMP1, where they'll be about lap 10 to 11. In fact, we see the first of the LMP2 cars that's just going to dive into the pits right now, I'd say, on this lap we're on now.
So that's one of the G-Drive Jota cars coming in. Ryo Hirakawa, who's coming to the pits already. Bit of an odd time to stop after 19 minutes of running,
Well,
but who knows?
It is and it isn't. You're getting out of the cycle, so if he was stuck in traffic, then now it pulls him out of the cycle. Okay, it's not maybe ideal on the optimum for a race strategy because it might incur something, but over the course of this race, then it's always better to be in clear air if you can. 69 Ford there. And Richard Westbrook is fighting with Antonio Garcia. He was attacking Pierre Gte just a lap ago, but there seems to be Gte's made a bit of a break and keeping the Aston Martins honest as we look back through towards the Corvette as it thunders down towards the Porsche corners.
And we look back through, Alan, the radical aerodynamics on that Ford GT, the way it's sculpted as the flat six screams its way with the Porsche engine right behind the Corvette. So American turbo, American muscle car, and then Weissach German engineering line astern.
Yeah. And you hear them coming through the long right at the slightly re-sculpted Porsche corners, the exit where they've not changed the surface of the track at all. What they've done is moved the barriers back, and that's allowed the drivers to see a little bit better and also take a wee bit more liberties, I would have said, with the corner, because they know they've got a get out a jail free card if need be. Right now though, Westbrook's coming under a bit of pressure because they're stacked up behind him.
Back though with the overall leaders of this motor race, Mike Conway, Neil Jarni and Sebastian Buemi.
Yeah, and Conway has actually been caught up a wee bit with the traffic as now he comes in, you can see them. And Yanni is close up behind, it'll be less than a second as they flick right through. There's only one GT car between them, and that's allowed Yanni to catch up, but it's also dropped right off the back.
Oh, we've got a Signatech Alpine in the gravel. One of the Signatech, it's the number 36. So that's Gustavo Menezes at the wheel. He was about 10th in class, and what has happened here?
Mulsanne.
He's gone straight on at Mulsanne. Not the first, not the last.
Yeah, locked up the right front as he's gone in there. He hasn't hit the barrier, but that has dug him back down into it. That's just frustration. Here we're on board. Comes into it. You're turning it a little bit, and as he's turned in, he's just locked up, and he's trying to get out off the brake, hoping, praying. But reality is, once you're in that gravel trap, there is no way to get back out. That is not the last time we're going to see that, Peter.
Of course, winner last time out last year, so very frustrating for him. First stint and off the track. I'm sure he'll get back out. I'm sure it'll be okay, but it's going to put him well down the order, and we know how competitive LMP2 is this year, far more than any other cars on the grid, and yes, it's a real setback for those guys.
Look at this train.
That's a restart of the race, the replay as they drop over the line. The flag thrown by Chase Carey, the new boss of Formula One. Toyoda-san pleased that his cars jumped up into the lead with Mike Conway that headed the charge there in the number 7. And here we'll see a replay maybe of what happened as the 9 of Lapierre is in there. There's a bit of a movement, and it actually looks like it could have been from the number 1 car. As he's gone in.
You see him get sideways there a little bit, you see that, and then the Porsche goes by.
That's where he just got a little bit squirrely, and that allowed the number 1 of Yanni to slide around the outside. So we didn't see where Lapierre, whether he got actually tangled up with the number 4.
Right, here's the 9. Colles hit a bollard. The bollard then went into the right-hand front of the number 9 Toyota. So there was no contact, but there was debris thrown up by the floppy bollard that's signifying the track limit, and that kicked up and hit the Toyota. Now we know the full story.
You've only done 1.5 kilometres into a 5,500 kilometre race, and you've run wide, as now we're into a slow zone.
So we've got a slow zone down between the final chicane on the back straight towards the Mulsanne corner, because we've got to get out the number 36 Alpine. That's Gustavo Menezes. Because he did this, he locked up, he went into the gravel, as Alan was explaining a moment ago. So they're going to have a four-wheel drive, a JCB, to pluck him out, because they can't leave him there like they used to do in the 50s. They've got to get that car out of the way. It's beached, the stones are on its tummy. This is a replay of the number 26 G Drive Orica. That's a potential, that's the pole position. One of the early pole position cars in the class. Alex Lynn, Thierry and Rusinov. and that's a potential LMP2 class winner already in the garage. Are you allowed to spin there and take a shortcut to the pit lane?
I don't know. I think there'll be a little bit of a vision of that because he was actually past the pit lane entry. If you've got a terminal technical issue, you take the risk because your penalty of stopping out in the circuit is much higher, obviously. But in that, it just looked like there was a bit of damage to the nose. I think that we'll have to actually just have a little look at, because normally he shouldn't be in a position to do that.
Just to finish our thread about the slow zone down towards that Mulsanne corner with Menezes' Alpine, that means that the cars have got to stop to do 80 kilometres an hour. Meanwhile, Alan.
Yeah, can we get back to this battle at the moment?
Yeah.
We'll come back to the slow zones because I'm sure we're going to have more of them. Just see the cars now coming through the GT battle, and it looks like Conway's actually delivered because there's now 2 GT cars in between him and Neil Yanni. Yanni will now go around the outside of them on this long right-hander. This is 160 miles an hour as he's running around outside, but Conway's been able to take a bit of a breather, a bit of a gap, as now they've cleared that whole gaggle of traffic. So now for these guys, there's a long gap to the back of the LMP2 battle, which is their next opportunity. The loser out of all of this is Sebastian Buemi in the third place in the second Toyota.
Ollie Jarvis leading LMP2, Bruno Senna behind him in the white and metallic blue liveried LMP2 car. Then you've got Vitaly Petrov, he's third in class in the number 25 Manor Racing Orica. We ride on board with Jarvis.
Now for Oliver Jarvis, he's got the Porsche corners coming up. It was important to clear those GT cars before he got to this point, because now he can take his own line, he can let the car run through here. Carries much more momentum and speed through here. He'll have to lift off because of that car that we just saw ahead of him later on. But this looks like it is Menezes, who's now been taken out of the gravel trap. He's been picked out and he's on his way back to the pits.
And he is down at the moment in 58th position out of 60 cars. A lot of work to do.
Bit of action up here with Pierre Guidi right behind Darren Turner in the Aston Martin. Nicky Thiem has disappeared. He's now 4 seconds. This is a battle for second place. And now Darren Turner's having to block a little bit, but behind him, got another Ferrari looking down the inside of the Corvette as well. That's Sam Bird looking down in the inside of Antonio Garcia.
Second to 9th position in that crocodile.
Pretty cool, isn't it?
Fantastic.
I wonder whether Darren Turner fell foul of the P1s going by, and whether he kind of got held up a little bit, and it was good for Nicky Thiem because he was able to stretch his gap. No pressure on him. Darren's got to defend a little bit, so he's not going to be quite as quick.
Nelson Piquet Jr. in the Rebellion LMP2 car comes into the pits. So he's not going to get out. Fuel going in. No tyres being changed, just to clean the screen. Bit of fuel, and he'll be on his way in a moment. The former Formula E world champion.
Yeah, stop there. They can't refuel and put tyres on at the same time. Quite a few of the LMP2 cars will be coming in on this lap as well, because we're on lap 7 going into lap 8. Normally they can do 9-10 laps, and so therefore I can see some coming out of sync on your ideal strategy, just as we said before, for others to try to get into a bit of clear air.
Somebody going very wide on the exit of the Gustavo Menezes. He may well indeed shake his head like that as he gets out of the car. And it looks like Matt Rao getting in. Matt Rao, he knows how to win races. So they put him in the car. That door will be snapped shut and he will be on his way in a moment. There goes second. There's the third place Ferrari in GTE Pro, Alessandro Pierre Guidi. What a race, as expected, in GTE Pro.
Well, after having 1.5 seconds covering the top 12 in qualifying, then I think we're in for a decent old battle, there's no question. Right now, I think you're right there, though, Peter, because Nicky Thiem is 4.1 seconds ahead, and that's left Turner with his mirrors completely and utterly full of the gaggle that's right behind them. As there is now a Corvette and battle at the back there with which looks like Muka and Gavin are fighting out. Gavin trying to go round outside of Porsche. Oh, it's a bit risky, that one, though, to pull it off at this early stage.
Yes, I'm just looking down to the Pro-Am battle as well. We haven't said much about that yet. Fernando Rees I think he's got a 12-second gap now on Pedro Lamy, so you know he's very much in command of that Pro-Am battle. I think his teammates, when they get into the car, perhaps aren't quite as strong as Lamy's teammates, so we might see them close back up again. Of course, we've got Townsend Bell in the 3rd position in Pro-Am as well, so a good little battle going on down there as well, but yeah, battles throughout the field.
Oh yes, as they start another lap. That is the 8th lap completed, sorry, 7th lap, apologies, completed for the Gte Pro Class. Nose to tail, bumper to bumper. Look at the depth of field, look at the different styles of engineering, the different ways to try and skin a cat that Alan was talking about earlier in the race between these turbocharged engines, V8, V6s, flat 6s, as we come back on board with the leader of this motor race, Mike Conway.
So I'm interested to see in the next lap or two whether Buemi can catch Yanni back up again, or whether Yanni does have enough speed to stay, to keep that gap back to Buemi that he made in the traffic.
Yeah, a couple of pit guys, 38 and 31 coming in now. And that's Thomas Laurent coming in, Oliver Jarvis, sorry, in the 38 car. That's a car that was leading. He's into his pit position, and I would expect Jarvis to stay in the car and to do another stint. And I would expect, as you see the Dunlop tyre guy there, just looking in, looking to see if there's any sort of damage, and also how the tyre is actually working and how it's looking to stand up to these very, very high track temperatures, up to just under 50 degrees Celsius. But there's no tyre set out there, so I suspect this is going to be a fuel-only stop for these guys, as it is.
On his way goes the iconic colours of a Senna crash helmet. The green, the yellow and the blue, as Ayrton's nephew gets on his way. That is Stefan Bocca getting ahead of Sam Bird, the Ford ahead of the Ferrari as they come out of the Michelin chicane on the end of the Mulsanne straight. Nose to tail, one side of the road for one crocodile, the other side of the road for the other. This is Gte Pro going down the back section of this 8.5-mile Le Mans circuit.
Yes, now we're looking again back through at the back of the Ferrari there as they're running down, and that's released. It looks to me a little bit, Peter, as if the Fords are sort of slowly coming into their stride, as we've got another pit stop there by the 17 Ligier, number 17, and that's by a father and son combination of Lafarge. We've actually seen that car having a few dramas and troubles being off in gravel traps through the course of the qualifying before jumping back in towards this GTE battle.
Yep, as you say, all the marks out there right now are fairly close. There's very little between them. Perhaps Aston's slightly stronger up the front, but all of the rest of them up through the gears.
Does it sound good? Does it sound good?
Dan Turner again stretching his legs, so he's now, I guess, trying to catch his teammate up, Nicky Thiem. Still a 4-second gap between them, so that gap remains constant, and Turner pulls away from Pierre Guidi behind.
Dave Wilcox in the middle of your shots, ever a man who knows about engineering both rally cars and also GT cars. Here's Rubens Barrichello's Dutch-entered Jumbo de Lara. He is sharing the car with Jan Lammers and Frits van Aert. They go out of the pits, having done a fuel only. So they will get back up to speed in no short order. Here, there are a couple of the Gte Am cars that they are going past. One of the Proton Porsches, and looks like one of the Risi Ferraris. They're still doing an electrifying pace, but everybody's struggling to keep up, as Peter said a moment ago, with Fernando Reis, who is some now 13 seconds ahead of Pedro Lamy's Aston Martin, and Townsend Bell in the WeatherTech Ferrari in 3rd position, the Californian in the number 62. Meanwhile, this is a great duel that we've got between Aleshin and James Allen, the Russian and the Aussie. They come into the garage. This is a battle that will, I'm sure, get going again by the time they've come out.
Yeah, this is all the P2s now coming in because they're basically right on the limitation of fuel. And there you can see also the car that I think is being driven by John-Eric Verne at this moment in time, and he pops into the pits. I think all of these guys, though, they're only going to be looking at doing fuel. I would be very, very surprised if anybody actually put any tyres on, because you're only in a limited allocation. For the LMP cars, you've got 12 sets. For the GTE, you've only got 16 sets of tyres. And so when you're stopping in under 40 minutes, then ultimately you won't have enough tyres for the whole race weekend, so the whole race duration. So you've got to be very conservative with that. So right now they'll all be going for double stints minimum on their tyre.
There's your new leader in the LMP2 class. That is Bruno Senna. He is in the number 31 Rebellion. They know how to get around Le Mans, formerly in the LMP1 class, now in this LMP2 class. Now we come up to Tête Rouge. He looks over to the right-hand side, looking. Now it's into its stride as it goes down the Mulsanne straight. That is the Settilar Dallara, the number 47, Lacourt, Serna Giotto and Baliki. They go on their way. This, though, is the number 40. That was James Allen that we saw coming in. Now he's coming out, as we have the number 30 guy with a puncture. That is the Graf Orica. It's got a puncture on the front left. He's coming through the Porsche curves. Got about 2-3 kilometers of the lap still to go. The carcass of the tyre may have broken free, but at least it's in one loop still, Alan.
Yeah, it is. He's got to be a little bit careful. He hasn't got very far to go. You've got to be careful that the tyre doesn't disintegrate completely, as that would do a heck of a lot of damage and mean a lot of repair time into the pits. Porsche having to defend there as it goes in wide, and the Corvette as well. It's allowed the Ford onto the outside. I don't think he'll be able to get it done into Arnage because it's a right-hander, but it does compromise the entry for the Corvette, and he'll look to try and get the power down and accelerate past him down towards the Porsche curves.
Great racing, this battle for 6th position between Garcia and Stefan Mucker. Garcia chasing the Porsche in front of him. Garcia, the lead yellow Corvette, as it is still Dane Nicky Team leading the GTE Pro category ahead of Darren Turner. We ride on board with the number 66. This is Stefan Mucker, the German, former Aston racer.
Yes, factory driver for Aston Martin for many years, actually. So it was a big shock when he moved over to Ford. Ford came in last year. He moved over to them together with Richard Westbrook, etc. Yeah, doing very well. Last year, of course, Ford winning with the American entry. There seems to be 2 European cars, 2 American cars. So Muka doing the full WEC championship in one of the European cars, and then 2 American cars doing the American championship.
Got a bit of a Formula E battle going on here, have we not, Mr. McNish, between Verne and Piquet Jr.?
Yeah, we've seen that battle before in quite a few paddocks in reality, and also both of them ex-Formula 1 drivers, and now in the LMP2 category here at Le Mans.
We are with Thomas Gomendy, the youngster who was brilliant in qualifying. He's the 3rd car in this train at the moment. They're one of the DC Jackie Chan racing cars. Yes, that Jackie Chan. The team that's got 2 cars in the full championship and was launched in Shanghai just a week before the opening race of the 2017 season that took place at Silverstone.
Yeah, just looking at the shakeout after the pit stops, we've seen Bruno Senna in the lead, and this is actually the battle for 4th place. But the big loser out of that pit stop section was actually the race leader when he went in, being Oliver Jarvis. And they've had, well, what was a 1 minute 26 stop, so it's 20 seconds, 22 seconds longer than everybody else. So I'm not sure if they changed tyre. I didn't see it, and I would be very surprised if they did. But that was a slow stop by the Jota crew.
Going back to the P1s, I'm just looking at Nicolas Lapierre, down 27 seconds now behind Conway. Damage to his car, we know from that first lap. I think it has had to have an effect on that car. He's lost front downforce it seems to me anyway, and I think he's just gradually slipping back. So when they come in now for the pit stop, I think they'll try and do something about that and bring him back onto the pace again, because they can't afford to keep losing that kind of time. Lap 11 for the P1s, so maybe in slightly earlier than normal as well.
Yeah, he's in slightly earlier, partly because he's got the problem there, and I think it'd also be drag that it would also affect, because it's right in the light cluster area. The second thing is that Toyota won't necessarily want all of their 3 cars coming in the same lap, so they'll stagger them out. Because he was the last of the Toyota crew, then they will then have to then try and take the worst of the pit stop options in that respect.
Oh, it's been a big smash into the front right of that car. They've got a spare nose just out of shot to the left-hand side. It's going to be pounced on in a moment's time once the fuel has gone in to power that V6 Toyota internal combustion engine that they've got in that car. Remember, they've got another 500 horsepower coming from the electric, the hybrid power that they've got under the rear hood. I'd love to see that nose going on. It's already gone on, and they're on their way. Yep, new nose on the number 9 Toyota. Nico Lapierre on his way. Now, let's see some lap times from him. Back, though, with LMP2. This is the number 38 car. This is Ollie Jarvis battling with Nelson Panciatici. Okay, we're up here in our commentary box. Let's catch up with Louise Beckett, who is getting pretty warm down there in the pits. Louise, take it away.
Yes, well, I've just spoken to the number 38 crew, and they said that there was a problem with the starter in that pit stop, and that's the reason for it taking longer and them losing time. And just walking down the pits, looks like the number 2 crew are getting ready for their car to come in.
Okay, thank you, Louise. The number 2 crew, that's the Porsche of Timo Bernhard, currently 4th overall at the moment. So, starter motor problems already for that red-topped DC Jackie Chan racing car.
Yeah, it's not the first time starter motors have even problem in that category, because basically it's a cost cap category, and therefore they have seen it quite often where they've struggled to start after pit stops. In fact, that team were helped a little bit to winning the European Le Mans Series title last year, because their main competitor, the G-Drive team, the new G-Drive team, they actually had a starter issue.
Oh, having to feather the throttle, a little bit nervous as they went round one of the other cars there. That gives a bit of a chance for Panciatici to leap away in the blue Signatech Alpine. There's the number 7 car, that's the leading Toyota. The one with the red nose, just behind the graphic, coming into shot. He is leading this race. Mike Conway at the wheel. That's 12 laps now done for Mike Conway. He's yet to come in. We expect 13 or 14 laps, Alan.
Yeah, we do. And but number 2 has dropped in. That's Timo Bernhard in the 4th place. Porsche is now into the pits with Sebastian Buemi in the 3rd place Toyota. So yes, Conway, because he is leading, he gets the best chance and options on the strategy. So he will go the longest, which is your ideal strategy. And his teammates, because they are behind, they'll have to take the worst strategies. As you can see now, 2 in the pits and also number 8.
Cleaning the windscreen, getting the bugs off that windscreen. They don't want to use one of the tear-offs from the windscreen that has been laid on the sort of F-16 fighter jet kind of windscreen that these LMP1 cars have got. They'll keep that for another pit stop later in this race. How many layers do they put on these windscreens, Alan?
You get different. Some teams have got about 4 or 5, but you can use up till about 8. And after that, you start to get a lot of distortion coming in there. Very, very difficult thing to do is to put on that. In fact, there's only one company that I know that actually can do it and do it effectively.
Without getting any bubbles in or any wobbles in. Yeah, perfect. So the guys using the fluids and the chemicals to get the bugs off. Here's a super slow-mo, and isn't it a super slow-mo, isn't it? of the Porsche and the Toyota coming through the final chicane here, right in front of our commentary position. And you can see the slide in the car, can't you, Alan?
Yeah, you can see that as he's coming through. Managed to have one wheel on the tyre. And you reported that car number 26, when it spun ahead of us, that it shouldn't have came back into the pits in the way that it did, because if you remember, it sort of drove a little bit, only a few metres the wrong way up the circuit, and then came into the pit entry, and has now been reported to the stewards for an incorrect pit entry.
So, full house here. Great to see the young fans, the fans for the future, maybe even the drivers of the future here at Le Mans as we ride with Sebastian Buemi. This is an outlap for the third position car. He's halfway down the Mulsanne straight as we speak. Talking about fans of the future, did you come here early on, Peter? Did you come here to Le Mans as a fan, or you came here first and foremost as a driver later on in your career?
I came here in '99 for the first time as a driver. I think, you know, for me, coming through my single-seater career, it was never really a race for me. It wasn't on my vision. I was always intent on doing single-seater racing as long as I could and trying to make it to Formula One. I then got the chance, after winning in Formula 3 in Japan and in Macau, to join Mercedes and join their Le Mans program. And so that was me coming for the first time in '99 and seeing this all for the first time. And racing against Alan, of course.
Yeah, that's nearly 20 years ago though now, Peter.
It is.
Yeah, with Porsche 1 coming into the pits. In fact, we've got his team radio as well.
I always have brake lights going on in the shortly after peak pressure. Do I really lock the front, or are those lights just scaring me? Because then I'm not confident for Mulsanne. I know they look like false alarm, false alarm.
Yeah, that's Neil Yanni looking for clarification. They've got brake locking lights and acceleration lights on the dashboard. We might, when we go on board with it, you'll see it on the right-hand side of the screen, and they flicker when the wheels are starting to lock, and he's not sure whether that's happening because he can feel that through the brake pedal as well when it's starting to lock, and that's just a little early indicator, and so therefore he's not sure whether it is true or whether it is purely a sensor fault. And in this occasion, a sensor fault. The thing is, when you have them, you start to have to trust them all the time. But when you're barreling into the Mulsanne corners, the one he talked about there, and you brake at 110 metres from a corner and trying to take out 150 miles an hour from the car, then you have to have total confidence in the car's going to actually stop. If not, that's exactly what happened to Gustavo Menezes in the LMP2 car.
Let's have the stagger, see how the stagger unravels. There's your leader coming out. There's your number one. That's in second place coming out. No, it's not. It's now third. The Toyotas have leapt that Porsche, so it's a Toyota 1-2 as the leader goes wide. The leader goes wide, getting an opportunity for number 8. That is Sebastian Buemi. Is he going to be able to go around the outside on the inside? Alan's saying, no, don't do it, don't do it. Long way to go.
Yeah, long way to go. He wasn't quite far enough alongside to be able to have a look at it, but Buemi is fully up to speed. Conway, though, is not, and now is the time that Buemi's cut well. He's got a nice draft on him, so I'd expect him to slipstream up behind Conway, and this will be an overtake for the lead. First one we've seen in the race so far.
Conway, he's on his 14th lap. He's in the rhythm of the car. Buemi has got full fuel, so he's got extra weight in his car in second place, but he's closing. He's got the draft, he's got the slipstream as we come up to the first chicane, the Forza chicane on the Mulsanne straights.
Yeah, Conway just been into the pits, come back out, and this is it. And this has allowed Buemi to have a nice run on him as he's accelerated out. That's the danger part for Conway. Now, pretty much, as long as he gets through the next chicane, he should be okay. But Buemi wants to try to take the advantage, because if you don't, if you're the second in that team train, as we spoke about before, as we see a replay here of Conway actually just going a bit deep into the Dunlop corner, the first braking for him, and then Buemi not being able to get it done. If you are the second car or the third car in that team order, then you get the worst strategy. The leader always gets the best strategy.
Yeah, thank you, Alan. Obviously, they've both done pit stops, so that's absolutely level pegging. Getting ahead of myself. Toyota 1-2 here at Le Mans after 47 minutes of running in this 24-hour race. Coming up behind the Golf Porsche. That is out of the way, the Golf racing car. Foster, Barker and Wainwright at the helm of that one. As we chase the leader, he's getting closer. Buemi in the number 8 Toyota. Getting closer, getting closer. Is he going to duck out? He's going to be brave into Indianapolis. He goes past with another Porsche. So he's going to... Where's the next shot? Where's the next shot? Who is going to lead? Conway goes to the inside. Buemi's going around the outside into Indianapolis. That's a manoeuvre.
Certainly is. That was quite brave of him, but he required it to be his teammate. I think if that was a Porsche he's overtaken, it would have been a bit of a tougher ask. But Conway knew that risking it at this point isn't that good, but Buemi has taken the lead of the race. And now it'll be interesting to me whether Buemi can actually start to stretch his lead and pull away a little bit more.
There you have your new leader, Sebastian Buemi. Now that lead, just 10 car lengths or so, is coming up behind one of the 4 Gte Pro cars. That familiar passing place around the outside of that right-hander. Now Conway will tuck inside, and there's the Porsche getting really close, really close. That Porsche could be taking second position. Here's a replay of the change of the lead as Buemi on the left-hand side barrels past him into Indianapolis. That's a manoeuvre.
It's a bumpy little place down into there, and as he used the traffic just to get a nice draft, and as you can see, they're sort of bouncing in off each other, and you actually feel the car moving around with your teammate beside you. But as you say, now Conway's dropped back a little bit, and it's Neil Yanni in the Porsche that's in there. There's also just a little bit of traffic up ahead, and this traffic is going to compromise him because he won't be able to clear both of them before he now gets down through the S's.
The Bratislava LMP2 car gets disposed. There's a Ford GT in there as well. There's your third place Porsche on the extreme left-hand side of your screen in the white. Neil Gianni. Swiss leads. Swiss driver in third position with a Brit sandwiched in between with Mike Conway. Onto the Mulsanne straight, building speed once more. So, after 50 minutes of running, there you have it. 1, 2 and 3 here in Le Mans. Fritz Enzinger, the project leader for the LMP1 Porsche, looks on intently, analysing, taking in all of the data and working out how Porsche can get 3 on the trot here at Le Mans after 2015, 2016. Who will get 2017? Down towards the second chicane. They go on board. This is an LMP2 battle, and that looks like Bruno Senna. Oh, no, it's not. It's the Nelson Piquet Jr. battling with Thomas Gomendy. As they accelerate out of Arnage, we've got news from Louise in the pits. Louise?
Well, just keeping a close eye on the number 7 and the number 8, having a great bit of a fight out there. How are your nerves, Rob Lupin?
No, I think they're both disciplined enough to manage this, no issue. We're a bit worried about number 9, who had to change the front end due to damage, but Nico is now back on pace. But 7 and 8, they will sort it out without making any or taking any bigger risk as necessary.
Was that 9 damage from the start?
That was just after the start. We don't know exactly what happened. Maybe we say debris into the car. I haven't seen a hit myself. Maybe somebody else. But yeah, Nico was slow in pace. Now he's back on track. He's in the similar lap time as the other 4 in front of him.
Thanks very much. Speak to you later.
Okay.
Rob Luypen, the general manager at Toyota Motorsports in Cologne in Germany, where this car is built, and he was also very much part of the Formula 1 program for Toyota as well. Well, we can tell them the damage was because of the Collis car hitting bollards, which then bounced into the front of Nicolas Lapierre. And as he says, Lapierre now back on track. I tell you what, there's a fair few of these GTE cars coming into the pits right now. It looks like we're into the window of the GTE battle. Here a replay on 1. Neil Yanni round the outside, 3 abreast. You've got to be careful going out there because there's a lot of debris out there and it's easy to pick up a puncture, especially at this point of the race.
There are a lot of GTE Pro cars
We're
coming
seeing the lead car there,
the
team in the box. In fact, every GT Pro car, there was a couple stopped 1 lap earlier, obviously for pit space, so they stagger them, as Alan said before, but all the lead cars are now in. Nicky Team, Darren Turner, Pierre Gte. So positions probably will remain the same. It depends on these stops. Can the Ferrari get out ahead of the Aston Martin?
It's about refueling time. It's also a little bit about whether you can get released into clear air, as you can see, because it's possible for an unsafe release there.
I think the Porsche has jumped the Ferrari, it looks like.
Yep, it definitely has.
92, Kevin Estre. We're on board with him now as he comes through the Dunlop chicane. There you have Townsend Bell in the pits. He's putting some fuel in. He is at the moment, but they're all in the pits leading the Gte Am Class, but let's wait for them to get back out. That was your Aston Martin of the TF Sport crew. That is also Christian Reed, Cairoli and Dienst in the garage, in the pits, should I say, and there's your Golf Racing Porsche coming in. All of the AMs in at the moment, so let's just wait for them to get back out as we look down from our fly cam way above their heads here, under scorching temperatures here in France. I have not seen a cloud in the sky today, and in fact, we haven't seen very many clouds since we got here on Tuesday evening.
I think I've been here 10 times now, and I've never seen a week like this here in Le Mans, you know, without a drop of rain, never.
2000 was the last time that I remember it like this, when it was so hot, and the two things that happened are a lot of reliability issues, and there was a lot of driver mistakes come Sunday morning because of heat fatigue.
Yes, that's something we haven't thought about so far. Obviously, as this race goes on, long race, you've got a long stints during the night, and then you get into the morning and you think, okay, we're almost there, but the drivers have got to keep focused.
On board with Kevin Estre, third position in Gte Pro at the moment. Looking back at the fourth place man in class, so Alessandro Pierre Guidi.
A big jump for them. They managed to get in front of the Ferrari and the Ford. I can't remember which position they came in the pits in, but definitely they've moved up to third now. Well done to the Porsche crew for getting them out quickly.
Well, that's a new car, and part of designing and developing a new car is you maximise all parts of the potential. One part is the way that the fuel flows into the fuel tank, and that was an area that we actually saw with the LMP1 Porsche, where they found something a couple of years ago, just prior to Le Mans, and they were able to refuel quicker than anyone else. Free time, because for the driver, he doesn't have to take a risk to try to counteract that. But you see now Pierre Guidi, in terms of straight line speed and acceleration, has blasted back past them. However, he's going to know that at the next stop, the Porsche is still going to be able to refuel quicker. So Guidi's had to use risk and speed to overtake, whereas for the Porsche, he was able to do it just purely by sitting in the pits.
We have seen pretty much all week that the Porsche of the Gte Pro Class is the slowest in a straight line, so we just proved it again there, the Ferrari blasting by the Porsche.
And actually yesterday they had a little bit of a balance of performance break where they had 8 kilograms of weight lifted off the car to try to help them a little bit. I think they wanted 8 kilowatts of power instead of 8 kilograms of weight. However, they got the 8 kilograms of weight.
Yeah, you're talking about the refueling and the speed of the refueling in the LMP1 and in this GT Porsche. You know, the way that the fuel goes in, it's like water going down a plug hole. It goes quicker than just trying to pour it out of a bucket into a plug hole. That's the swirl pot effect, isn't it?
It certainly is, but, you know, it is a factor. It's the way it's designed. There is a restriction to try to control the speed so that it's only at gravity feed. They can't allow to force feed the fuel into there from a safety point of view. But you still try and optimise every single part of the race, from when the tricolor goes up at 3 o'clock on Saturday until the checkered flag comes down at 3 o'clock on Sunday.
You have to maximise every single part of the race, Alan, before the flag comes down. Every single advantage you can get in the workshop before you get to the racetrack as well.
You better believe it, but there you see one of the LMP2 cars just running a little bit wide, getting onto the gravel as he came out of the Ford chicane and sort of getting himself. He's got to be careful now breaking into Dunlop because his tyres are not going to be optimum, and he's actually doing quite a sensible thing and trying to sort of get out of the way a little bit to the traffic around and about him. Dropping down through the S's. This is the S de la Forêt, a difficult little corner left and then right over a hill. And now back in, there's your Gte Am sort of battle right now. as we've got a couple of Aston Martins there, and also in the car that was leading earlier on, the Corvette that Fernando Reis is in. That's it. You can definitely see. I think we're going to have no problem seeing that day or night. But there's been a switch where Townsend Bell is now leading in the Ferrari. The car just dropped out of shot. Then the two Aston Martins of Rob Bell and Pedro Lamy, and then Fernando Reis, the leader in the first stint, has dropped down to fourth.
So Fernando Reis was one of the first to stop, actually. He was one of the first AM cars to stop. I think we're going to see this P2 car running wide again. I'm not sure